This is Gauss.
Swazdola, maggots. I will not ask you how the hell you are because I do not care. You are here for my verbal abuse and to learn about Gauss, aka
fast as fuck, boy.
You are not here for me to powder your above average soft tushy. So let's get this shit show on the road. Gauss. The Warframe who single-handedly caused illiteracy among the staff. The one who makes Volt look like a cheap French hooker. This dude is a true beast in the right hands and has insane synergies that you will certainly miss, unless you pay attention. Or, you know, if you were not a lazy shit and would actually read the fucking wiki. Anyway, in my opinion, Gauss is one of the most enjoyable and versatile frames right alongside the likes of Wisp. Now then, to master this
fast as fuck, boy,
you will need to control his battery charge at all times. But since that thing has a lot going for it that will not make any sense at first, I will save it for the end of this video. For now, let's dash straight into his first ability.
Run.
why are you running?
Gauss goes for a scump mode and hauls ass like a Chad, knocking down any pushovers in his way. Now aside from some cool but ultimately inconsequential perks, such as running over water like a Warframe version of Jizo, this ability can be used for one main thing: crowd control and mobility. Every bastard you steamroll with this ability will be knocked on their ass. Since you can pretty much spam this ability, it is not difficult to keep a tight group of enemies on lockdown until you have murdered them. If you got to go fast, you can also hold the cast button to continuously sprint at high speed. This will cost you energy over time though. So shorter bursts are more efficient than long ass runs. Redline mode will half that cost however. Also, every time you collide with a solid surface, you will emit a shockwave that deals impact damage to anything within 10 meters of your point of impact. So zigzagging in corridors can actually deal decent damage fast on top of keeping fools on lockdown. When it comes to mobility, you can activate this pretty much anytime you want. Be it in the air, or on ground or whatever. Just keep in mind that you will automatically wall latch if you rush into a surface while aim gliding. There are more perks to it but I will get to those later to avoid confusion. That said, let's move on. Iron Skin but for intellectuals. With Kinetic Plating active, Forrest Gump will gain a protective shield that will reduce some incoming damage by 20% at first. If you are redlining, the amount of damage reduction will scale with your battery charge. So reaching 100% battery charge will reduce damage by 100%. That sounds pretty good, right? Well, there is a catch. You see, Gauss cannot reduce all damage types. He can and will be completely untouchable by all three physical damage types, so the likes of slash, impact and puncture. Furthermore, he can withstand status damage types like cold, heat and blast. Any other damage type will not be affected by Kinetic Plating. So something like very strong attacks and damage will fuck your ass 3 ways from Sunday. Even so, this is not a deal breaker by any means. All of my testing with this build so far has shown that it hardly matters in the end. In addition to the aforementioned damage reductions, Forrest will also become immune to staggers and knockdowns. However, this ability is not just knock off Iron Skin, no. It also functions much like the Mod's Hunter Adrenaline and Rage. You see, a portion of all absorbed damage is converted to energy for Gauss, although at the expense of some battery charge. Your own melee attacks can help remedy that loss though, since attacking enemies with melee while Kinetic Plating is active will recharge your battery. This ability will also replace the bitch made impact damage from your first ability with sexy slash damage. so slamming into walls will actually kill shit pretty good. Speaking of killing shit, should you redline while this ability is active, you will also double your melee base damage. A side note that might be interesting to know. You do not need to bother with much ability strength to make this kinetic condom perform well. No matter what your modification is, kinetic plating will always reduce 100% damage as long as your battery charge is at 100% as well. With no mods at all, the plating will start at 20% damage reduction. If, for some silly reason you insist on a higher reduction right from the start, then you will need 250% ability strength to cap out at 90% damage reduction instantly. I cannot recommend doing so, to be honest. Next up, some freaking weeb ass shit, aka thermal Sundar Jutsu. Now this anime move can be used in a multitude of ways. Crowd control, armor stripping and murder death kill. Now I could be a brozime and explain every little detail of this ability, but I will spare you and rather just give you what you need to use thermal Sundar effectively. When you tap the ability, you gain 10% battery charge and inflict a cold proc on everything within range. Tap again to instantly freeze every enemy within range and affected by the first cast. Hold this ability to lose 10% battery charge but deal heat damage to assholes around you. Hold again to set them on fire and deal way more fire damage. Now here comes the cool part that can easily get a little tricky. You may also combine these two abilities. Cast either of them first and then the other to combine heat and cold and therefore deal a blast proc. If you cast cold first and then heat, you will blast fools away from you. If you cast heat first and then cold, you will blast punks toward you. Which is my preferred method so that I can slice them up nicely. The higher your battery charge is when you cast either of these, the higher the damage they will deal. Heat however deals twice as much damage as cold does. So I would recommend casting cold first, to boost the battery up a little, and then heat, if killing is your intention. Now things get even better, when you are in Bankai redline mode. Tapping once will insta-freeze everything around you instead of having to cast twice. Holding will instantly set mofos on fire and deal max damage over time. And combining the two while in redline mode will instantly strip all armor. In case you are new to Warframe and cannot yet appreciate enemies with zero armor, then let me tell you this, enemies without armor are about as easy to kill as it is for a baby to take a shit in its diaper. That's pretty much all you need to know here. One last note on this. DE, for the love of God, give Gauss separate energy colors for his thermal Sundar casts. I cannot tell you how much it annoys me to see fire-colored ice, or ice-colored fire. I even mentioned this in the partner Discord. Not only would this benefit my personal arousal, no, but also help visibility and distinction for all players. So chop shop. Okay, next up. Some more weeb shit. Gauss goes Bankai mode and unleashes his final form. Essentially this ability is just a big fat buff to everything he can already do quite well. He gains weapon fire rate, reload speed, holster speed and melee attack speed. All of which scale according to the current battery charge. Another nice little trick this ability pulls out of its ass is that while redlining, Gauss will emit sparks of some magical shit that will home in on nearby enemies and damage them quite severely. These little rockets will always stagger enemies upon hitting them if nothing else, so this makes for a nice little passive crowd control as well. And just in case you did not take notes earlier, I will briefly run down why this ability should be active at all times. 1. First ability energy cost is halved. 2. Second ability gains bonus melee damage and deals staggers. 3. Third ability gets buffed like a mofo so that cold will instantly freeze enemies. Heat will deal max damage over time with one cast. and the combination of both will insta-strip all armor. I hope you took some notes at this point. If not, well, sucks to be you. Anyway, since Gauss will be most effective with his battery at max charge, allow me to quickly summarize how you gain battery charge. Any and all forward movement. Reviving teammates will also charge your battery. Tapping your first ability will instantly grant you 10% battery charge. Bomb rushing enemies with your first ability. Melee attacks while Kinetic Iron Skin is active. Cold cast from Thermal Sundar Jutsu will grant 10% battery charge. And that's about it. Everything else will either drain your battery or have no effect on it at all. So maintaining a high charge will is actually easy peasy. So then, now you know everything you need to know about Forrest Gump. Here is my build. As always, you can tweak this build to your personal liking. If you wish to see this build in my playstyle in action, then go watch my 1-hour survival solo video that I will link at the end of this one. All in all, Gauss is a must-have Warframe in my opinion. He can deal stupid amounts of damage, crowd control large groups of douchebags and basically exploit God mode whenever he pleases. On top of this skill set, this Naruto fanboy is simply fun and engaging to play. There you have it, you little shits. Now like and subscribe to this stupid channel and fuck off.
Running.